So, thanks. I'll hand it on to Margaret, and we'll continue the conversation.
So, we've used Management 300 primarily because we have so many students in there. My fall classes, I end up with 150 students in 3 sections, and right now I have 95 in 1 section. So there's quite a few students that go through it. They're usually in their first semester, second semester of their junior year. So they're kind of thinking, they're grown up now, they're not sophomores, they're juniors. They're kind of thinking they understand business and they kind of don't. And so with Management 300, I start to introduce them into looking at businesses more as from an analytical point of view, rather than, oh, they make a cool product and they've got lots of money. But looking at for different things, like looking at that competitive strategy. Being able to try to look at a business, are they going to be great at it? No. But look at a business and try to understand, how do they compete in the market? And how can I bring my skills to support that competitiveness? Back in the day, I used to work in coal mining, and so that's all about cost. Cost is king, because it's essentially a commodity. And then I went to very high-end book publishing. Cost is not king, quality is king. And I struggled for a long time in my accounting position to not like hammer in on costs all the time, but I didn't pay attention to what their competitive strategy was. It wasn't about that profit margin, it was about producing that quality product. So when I talk about competitive strategy in class, I try to get the students to start to think differently about when they look at companies. We talk about org culture. What kind of culture are they comfortable in? When Tim was talking about organic versus mechanistic, what does that sound like to them? What does it mean when they're at work? Everybody gets excited with Google and Patagonia. They're very open work environments. Oh, it's a great place to... Some people cannot work in that environment. That doesn't suit their personality. They need structure. They need more direction. They need more contact. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I bring that up in there where there's a fabulous organization, but it may not be a match for you. And the point for them, one I try to make for them is, I don't want you to get a job. I want you to get a job you really love, and you enjoy, and you're inspired to be there. Anyone can get a job, but find the one that really floats your boat and you're excited about, because then your success will happen. If you're hating every minute of it, it's not possible. Looking at their self-awareness, their emotional intelligence, looking at their personality, what their terminal and instrumental values are. We spend probably about a week on all of this. We do Myers-Briggs personality, and a big part of what I bring into that is, it's not just knowing your personality, but what if your boss is the opposite? How do you deal with that? I'm the, let's get a plan done, give me the facts, get me out of here. I've had bosses are not like that. How do I adjust my behavior? How can they adjust their behavior to help support success? Whether it's going up or going down with their own teams. Because it's about the success of the team and not just themselves. Ethical situation, social responsibility. Today we talked about Patagonia and looking at all the different things that are important to them. We've talked about coal mining. We've talked a little bit about W.L. Gore. If you're a very big animal rights activist, you need to understand what companies do. W.L. Gore does a lot of animal testing. Great company, but if that doesn't match what your ethics are, what your social responsibilities, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to contribute like you want to, like the company needs you to. So recognizing those different things. Interviewing and development programs, I bring, when they have the career exploration, I bring this one up a lot. Because they're juniors, like, oh no, we're not going to go. We're not looking for a job. I said, get out there and go. One of the hardest things to do is walk up to someone and say, hi, my name is Margaret Dunfee. I have no idea who you are, and I'm trying to get a job. It's a difficult thing to do. So even though they're in their junior year, go watch other students do it. Do it yourself. Try to get that comfort level so when it really counts, you're on your A game. You're ready to go. You're not like, oh, you're ready. I also, with the interviewing, I talk to them a lot about what questions they're going to be asked, but what questions do they need to ask? by having a better understanding of the organization, not just going online and learning what their products are and looking at their financial statements, but coming up with really good questions. We talk about training and development. That's one of the things I tell them to ask. What is your development program? I mean, it's a good question. Because number one, if they don't have a development program, is that the organization they want to work for? Are you just coming on and you're going to sit in the same place for 30 years? Or they believe in investing in their employees and developing them? And then effective contributor in teams. We spend quite a bit of time on communication, conflict management, and working in teams. And that's a big important part. They're going to work in teams, and they all poo-poo us. We all know that. I don't want to work in teams. I don't have to work in a team. Yes, you do. And so I talked to them about how being that contributor is so important, and how they have to understand when they're working in groups now, those are skills that they're going to bring to the workplace. And to recognize the difference between managing a team and leading a team, and being able to do that. So I bring all of this stuff into the class. I talk to them frequently about their careers, their job choices, where they're looking for work, what kind of work they want, to really start to think about those things. Do they have to be able to sit down and do a full analysis of a competitive strategy for a company? No. But having that awareness and that understanding and how they can fit in and play a good role, I think that's kind of the focus I have.
So does Career Steps facilitate the delivery of all that, or
I think the combination of the two support each other, because they see it in the Career Steps and they hear it from me. So I think it kind of builds on top of each other. I think that's the nice part about having Career Steps with 300, because we touch on so many of the same topics that are in the two. As far as point structure, completing the Career Steps is 100 points. I've broken it down by steps, a certain number of points per step. We had some issues with if you don't do the first step, it wouldn't open up the next one. And if you didn't do it by the deadline, then that would make it so they couldn't get any of the other points. So we kind of had to manage that, and that's a little bit awkward. But then they do get 10 points to do the pre-test and 10 points, bonus points, to do the post-survey. And we had that same setup last fall. And the feedback I got just in terms of talking to different students, they really liked the idea of the Career Steps last fall. They just didn't have the time. And so amazingly, now they have the time, same group of students, but because they have to do it for my class. And the 100 points is about 10% of the class.
So when you did this, Career Step is part of Management 300? It's not a separate one credit?
No, it's not. The Career Steps is 100 points in my Management 300. So, and then Brian's doesn't have any points. I think he has they get bonus points for doing the pre and the post?
Pre and the post? Well, they do in class. I don't think he gives them an option.
He doesn't give any, okay.
So, did it displace 100 points that you otherwise would have done on something else? Did you have to restructure your course?
I'm always restructuring my course. I'm always changing things and making it different and making it work better for them and for me. So I can't really say that it displaced or not displaced.
Did you have all 90 participating in the discussion groups?
Yeah.
So,
As far as do they actually do it?
well, I mean, so it's all 90 together, you don't break them down into smaller groups, maybe?
No. It's
If we-
for one big one.
We've talked of doing that actually, for that very reason, as thinking to Dennis, that beyond about 40 or 50 gets a little silly in a discussion group. But it was simpler to do it this way this time, it might be done differently next time.
Well,
We didn't anticipate we'd have a 90-student section. We thought she might have 2 sections of 40 or 50, and then that would make more sense.
Well, you could set up just separate groups just for that part, right?
You can,
Without changing.
whether they're all sitting in the same room together on the same days, then they're, wait, how come you're not in there? It's better just to do it sections.
Are you able to do role playing?
In class?
Yeah.
Right now with this class, I have the 90, 95 in Gardner, and that doesn't really open up a possibility for role playing very well. It's a difficult room to manage that. Usually when we do a lot of these things, I have them work in groups in this room, and it's much easier, but role playing, I haven't done too much of that.
Public speaking?
They have to do a presentation at the end of the class, And that's usually with the 300 level classes when they're starting to have to really actually get up in front of people and present information, so. And I have had Pamela downstairs come and talk about doing presentations as well as working in groups.
We got some-
Next is Ron.